You can contact the sources of inspiration in your life. I have many techniques that are available that can be suited specifically to your cause. My purpose is to indulge in depth perception and depth analysis with you, to assist you in traveling into deeper and deeper levels of the onion layers of self. And by simply moving into a quiet space in your own time and asking questions, you will learn there is a natural rhythm to your inspirational inhalations. To your correct intuitions will tend to come at certain times of day for you and be more accurate. Very important that you realize this. So there are also times of month when your intuitive perceptions, as well as your overall relationship to the universe, is sharpened and more distinct, more specific in detail. At certain times of the month, your mind may be flooded with so much good quality information, much of it is lost and it is too big for you to bite down into chunks and chew and apply in your personal experience. But some of this will stay with you, like water running through a pipe. Some of it, even after the flood is gone, remains in the bottom of the pipe. Simply paying attention to the thoughts that pass through your mind, developing a greater patience with life, will allow your intuitive perceptions to begin to surface into your consciousness. Such intuitive risings or cognitive awarenesses are convergent points of energy within your psychological inner system. You have to learn to pay attention to and recognize your own signals. Perhaps you awoke one morning and you knew that the day was a disaster, so you should not get out of bed, and surely enough, your perceptions proved correct. But there have been other times where the sharpness and clarity of your perceptions were colored by emotional states that caused you to misinterpret them. If you simply sit down and you ask a question about any situation in your life, and you are willing to write onto paper or talk into a tape recorder all of the feelings that arise to your mind, when you go back and look at this notebook or at this taped series of responses from you, you will find a certain percentage were dead on the mark. A certain number of your perceptions were highly accurate and to the point, or at least very powerfully suggestive of certain potentials if they were not clarified. So the simple act of beginning to listen to the floods of voices that arise within you when you ask any question will start the ball rolling in your favor. Your so-called deeper levels, the deepest levels of self, begin to respond to the conscious I self that you are as you show attention to them. A dog that was previously unfriendly due to neglect may become very friendly when you begin to show him attention. A wife that is neglected may become very happy instead of sad and brooding when you begin to show her attention. A wound may heal faster in your body if you show it loving attention. So the best way to clarify and to open up your psychical perceptions and discover abilities and capacities that you did not know that you in fact natively possess is to feel yourself as greater levels of thankfulness and love and receptivity in all that you do, and to cut down on being critical of self and others. When I say critical, I mean negativistically diminishing the value of yourself and others through a negative attitude. I am not discussing analytical critical faculties, the ability to discern. Ultimately, however, my friends, this is what this discussion is all about. Learning to discern your thoughts from the thoughts of others that you perceive in your physical world, from the living and from the dead, just beyond your perceptions. Every night when you sleep, you deal with deceased relatives and guides and what you call in your world spiritual teachers. You move in and out of time and space and travel in bodies that you do not know that you possess, but you may have an instinctive urging within the direction to study these native inborn inbuilt capacities. Your religious practices may forbid you to investigate such things, considering them evil products of the devil, or that it may let out powerful subconscious forces according to modern popular psychology that may then take over and allow an alternative persona to ruin your life and do things you would never permit. The chances of these things occurring in the real world, in real life, are very small. They do, indeed, in fact, occur under very specific and special circumstances. I wager, however, that the safest technique that can be employed in awakening the intuitive capacities is again to remove as much frustration, agony, and despair from your life as much as possible. For when you are in a wounded emotional or psychological condition, is not the time to be searching for these answers. Though frequently, most of you only turn to the higher sources that exist and reside within your physiological construction when you are in a time of need. Have you ever noticed when you have lost something, and the harder you look for it, the harder it is for you to find? But when you stop and forget about it, it pops up mysteriously. Well, the intuition, my friend, is very much like that. When you relax and let the tension subside, and your mind begins to drift away from the subject that so concerns you, that was so all-important, the solution or answer comes to you. Some of you want too much at once, however, from such a process. The way that the intuition works for your species on a cognitive intellectual level of awareness, self-awareness, is you are given a little bit at a time. Why? Due to the nature of your neurological wiring and due to the genetics involved in your cerebrospinal system, you can only absorb so much new information and data at once and retain it. However, my friends, in out-of-body states, you can have many more experiences that are retained in the dream consciousness. That level of your personal consciousness that does not have the same types of limitations as those that you put on the conscious mind. Hell, half of the time, most of you are sleepwalking anyway, living in a type of trance where you do not listen to the intuitions, but to alter egos and voices given to you from your society and your parents that may not have had your genuine, holistic interest at heart. Frequently, your parents are too concerned with their own problems to teach you higher methods of self-development. While certain religious groups even prohibit the use of meditation in schools, feeling it is teaching an occult philosophy, yet they allow prayer. They are both one and the same. Prayer, however, is more a left-brained type of activity, where you consciously introspect and attune yourself to a personal concept of a higher power source. And this occult technique, metaphysical technique, they are all the same. All simply different methods of using the mind, the value system, and the imagination to activate inborn potentials of perception, personal power, and greater happiness in your personal experience. If you simply begin to listen to your often turbulent emotions, again, as I have stated before, you will come to find some will have a different emotional quality about them, and you will learn that your intuitions nearly always have the same emotional quality to them. The ones that are correct feel different than the other competitive emotions within your mind, brain, and nervous system. Only personal experience can develop outstanding psychical capacities, even those that become mediumistic in character, such as this. Small talents like telepathy and simple clairvoyance are very common. Communications with entities that are non-physical, such as myself, are much more complex. When the little abilities, like little seeds, grow big, strong plants, their leaves and branches touch other talents and abilities, and eventually they all become one psychological organism and become an altogether different psychical capacity. From simple telepathy to mediumship, it all begins with simply listening to your inner guides before you attempt to consciously consult outer guides. Too frequently, your religions, cultures, and hierarchies within your society ask you to consult those outside of yourself and not to trust your emotions. They are not trustworthy. They only right occasionally. And because of this great distrust of your own emotions, you are denied the greatest gift that nature, supernature, has endowed you. The ability to perceive ranges of energy far beyond those within the perceptive capacity of your bodies. The ability to foretell the outcome of a physical events, from horse races to presidential elections to more mundane things in your private life, such as, will the letter from Aunt Millie arrive in the mail this week? When you have a positive, supportive, nourishing, emotional bond with another human within the body, you frequently think the same thoughts that they do. This is not because they are just so similar to you and in harmony with you that it is a coincidence, though sometimes it is. This is because you are in such harmony. Energy processes cause the same thoughts to arise within your mind. You are familiar and feel safe with this person, and your guards, your instinctual inborn guards, are not up to protect you. So you cannot adequately use your psychical capacities of perception and extend the range and power and depth of those perceptions when you are paranoid or in fear. At least not in the beginning. There are those yogis and others who have lived on your plane. My psychic generally falls within this category, who can work under paranoia and fear. But in the beginning of your psychical development, until you reach a certain stage of a personal evolution and a progress, you cannot adequately rely upon your perceptions if you always wait until you are in a state of anxiety, exhaustion, fatigue, till your back is against the wall, or your car goes off the side of the cliff. If you are in such a state now with severe emotional anxiety, to where you need to see a professional, a counselor or therapist, rather than simply meditating to develop psychic capacities, you may wish to consult your dreams instead, because in the dream state there are times where there are psychological openings that are not always available to you in the conscious state or condition of beingness or self-awareness. And to simply record your dreams. Do not analyze them or just record them. They will contain symbolical or literal content according to the way that you habitually think. If you habitually think in symbolic terms, you will get a symbolic imagery. If you traditionally, usually, officially think in concrete terms like mathematical formulas and concept planning, you receive dream images in this version. Your intuition will always work in a fashion that is compatible according to your mental makeup and perceptive and cognitive habits and their genetic supportive structures that cement them into place and make you who you think you currently are. in what you believe you are currently experiencing, emotionally, privately, romantically, socially, politically. So you write down your dreams for 5 days, and you simply write them as soon as possible, as soon as you wake up. And you go back after waiting 24 hours, and you just read them again, and feelings will come up in your stomach. A dream book will not help you learn more about yourself. Personal analysis of your own experiences will allow you to learn more about yourself. And this self-knowledge causes automatic self-adjustments that make you more in harmony with the world around you. This adjustment is what you call happiness. When you are happy, the things that you wish for in your life come true for you easier with less effort. When you are despondent and fearful and in a state of panic, a crisis situation, the times when you think that you need spiritual guidance counseling the most are usually the times when you are the least receptive. Why? Because your emotional condition means you do not hear what you are told, but you color it and weigh it in a different fashion. Because your mood has moved you into a perceptual condition that limits your cognitive, translation, absorption, assimilation of the material that you will hear in the reading process. So it is necessary for you to spend a few minutes a day, my friends, sitting back comfortably, satiating your appetite, and detaching from your life circumstances so you are not so emotionally wrapped up in them that they magnetically catch you in their energy and distort your intuitive perception. In this relaxed state, you can give yourself suggestions such as, I am calm, cool, and collected. I am comfortable and drifting in the breeze, and you can imagine yourself floating away, in fact, in the breeze. The moment you close your eyes, you will automatically move into the alpha condition and related subjective states of awareness. And you may suddenly find that instead of thinking in highly structured intellectual manners, that you begin to see symbols when you usually think in words. At first, this may seem alien and uncomfortable to you, but you will gradually learn that in this disassociated condition, where you do not try to enter into this state with preconceived ideas, that the information that you pull out in this state of awareness is a higher quality than the information, the concepts, the directions that your intellect can give you alone. In fact, the intuition doubles the efficiency of the intellect. The intuition allows you to unite diverse facets of the inner self into a continual pattern of perceptions and realizations that put you together in a superior fashion so that all of your actions are more in tune, in harmony with the cosmos. You experience a sense of profound peace more frequently when you are in touch with these deep ebbs and flows of the emotions. Human beings and mammals and plants and everything on your planet has emotions. In other worlds that surround the world, that surround you, you are enmeshed in a great sea of energies. Your emotions generate changes in the atmosphere around you and cause storms or bring nice weather. They affect the stock market in mass. They affect your longevity and the longevity of your friends and the health of your immune system. The more peace and contentment and satisfaction that you bring into your life, the more enthusiasm and the less pain and stress you will cause yourself and others. If your personal God is contentment, then you will create contentment in your life. But you do not find happiness by searching for it outside of yourself. Happiness is indeed inside work. It is a way of relating to the world so that you don't make bad situations worse and you make good situations better. You must learn to cultivate the correct inner emotional atmosphere conducive to escalating developments of pleasure in your life. If you close your eyes and mentally repeat the word pleasure over and over and begin to count back year by year from where you are today, and think of every pleasant thing that has happened to you, all the way back as far as you can remember, I can guarantee that when you wake up, you will be in a different receptive state. Your mind will work differently, you will be refreshed, and you will have great levels of energy. Low energy usually indicates a resistance, that you are resisting a projected phantom of the imagination, a projected phantom of the imagination. Your own fear is thrust out from your mind and you project it into the future, and you set up realities and futures that are not the ones that you desire. So you run through life trying to fight all the things to put out fires that you yourself actually started by attracting those into your life that would light them. Learn to approach life from almost a prayerful attitude. In this state, your ability to concentrate and to become deeply involved in analyzing external and internal data and coordinating them becomes amplified and more efficient. You begin to make more intelligent decisions in your life. And you do this minute by minute, day by day, month by month, and year by year. And when it becomes a habit, you will find the things that you truly desire come to you, rather than you chasing every opportunity, hoping it is the right opportunity for you to find happiness. You find you are more content where you are at. The mind clears, the cobwebs are dusted away, and the clouds part and the sun comes through. And what happens is a few days or weeks after this, things that you thought were beyond you, the right man, the right woman, the love relationship of your dreams, the finances and the job that you thought were beyond you, comes into your life. Because you nourished the correct state of receptivity for this to do so by calming the mind and calming the emotions, and not stirring up emotional dust by moving inefficiently on an emotional level. Happiness is the result of efficiency in the life process. It is not always so much the way you handle the people around you or handle yourself. You spend a lifetime handling yourself and handling those around you. It is when you let go control and begin to communicate from a heartfelt emotional level that your defenses come down. Occasionally in the beginning, when you begin to use this practice, you will experience some unpleasant episodes while you are changing your value systems. But if you are persistent in this practice, all of the fires you have started when you are in a different state of consciousness will burn out. And more positive things will begin to happen to you. Ultimately, my friends, what you constantly dwell on in your mind becomes your experience. Again, day by day, week by week, and year by year. If you make it the simple habit to stop once or twice a day and give thanks for all the good things you appreciate in your life, you break the negative energies that attract unfortunate occurrences to you, from rape to murder to financial disaster. What is very important is that you learn to become in touch with your own emotional ebb and flow, and you learn when to push yourself and when to just let your emotional cycles take their course. Fear is the energy vibration that causes distortion on psychic and clairvoyant and intuitive levels of life. When the intuition is not working properly, when it has become dysfunctional due to intense emotions of anxiety, fear, frustration, anger, fatigue, exhaustion, your whole being is out of whack. And no matter how bright you are, you can reason yourself till hell freezes over and your life will not improve. You may have many beautiful luxuries around you and even people that are very pretty on the outside, but they are ugly on the inside. All that is around you is a perfect reflection of your emotional state. When your state is calm, what you usually consider ugly weather, like rain, becomes a beautiful experience. You begin to look at people in a calmer, more subdued, peaceful fashion and not expect things from them that they are not willing to give, and thus you are less and less disappointed in your personal experience with the world and society at large. You want to be happy? Learn to cultivate a condition of inner happiness within yourself, independent of circumstantial variables around you. Practice happiness as a religious ritual. In this way, the powers of the imagination will be amplified and your desires will indeed come to pass. The happiness vibration is a vibration that abolishes the sense of separateness from objects and others around you. When you are happy and calm internally, you attract happy circumstances. Bad circumstances become good. You'll become receptive to higher levels of more completed and sophisticated levels of wisdom and interaction with others. You become more and better than who you are. Do not dwell on negative events and feed them your energy. Do not resist them. Allow them to be. Learn your lesson and give thanks and cultivate an emotional attitude in the pit of your stomach of happiness. And begin to listen to your own emotional flows, the different voices within you, and you will learn to discern day by day, month by month, year by year. Which voice is the voice or combination of voices, your inner guidance that you should listen to? When you reach a certain level of happiness in your life, other entities will begin to communicate to you. Entities that evaded you if you attempted contact before because you had a polluted psychological and emotional atmosphere around you. The best time to ask for prosperity is when you are prospering. The best time to ask for good love relationships is when you are in love with the universe. When you are in love with yourself and all that is around you, you are not separate from it, and your dreams are turned into realities. Of course, your dreams are real, just as real as your bodies, and no less precious. They are the motive force, the impulse, the momentum that moves you and keeps you alive through highly focused concentration within the flesh from the body that you know. On this tape, we have discussed many subjects that orbit around the concept of personal power, happiness, and satisfaction. And I have hinted and given sometimes well-hidden clues that if you use your intuition, you will find. It is an exercise in depth perception. Now, try an exercise of depth receptivity. Frequently, on the surface, you may be very receptive, but internally very resistant. Let a calmness sweep over your being. Let the light come into your life, to use a simple analogy borrowed from some of your religious cults. Happiness is not a product of the circumstances around you. It is a product of inner attitude. An inner attitude creates success. Inner attitude aligns your behavior with the correct timing that produces materially profitable and emotionally rewarding results. Happiness is non-tangible, though it can be represented by tangible external symbols. If you regularly make it a practice to sit down and begin to recount once a day all of the best things that have happened to you in your life, you will soon find you have had many more wonderful and miraculous things happen to you in your physical life than you thought. When you pay attention to something, it exists, out of sight, out of mind. So you keep happy things in mind to balance out some of the negative conditions that you receive from others daily. And your old resistance, habits, and attitudes become transformed in a union with the energies, the cosmic flux that surround you. And you begin to experience intense states of emotional ecstasy, and cancers heal, and tumors recede, and you suddenly gain or lose the weight that you always wanted to. And you meet the right people, or your mate changes and goes through a personality transmutation for the positive. Or you finally listen to your instinct and you leave the bastard. What I am saying is that when you are tuned to your inner truth, true peace and union, meditation on those beautiful things that has happened to you in your life, such as being born was a beautiful event. It is not traditionally correct to say that death is a beautiful event in your culture, but it is just as worthy, if not more significant, than birth. Eventually, when you reach a certain level of psychical attainment, you will know that. You will not believe it. There is a grand difference, a big gulf between belief and knowledge, between information and its use. To have greater levels of love in your life, spend time loving something, anything, but try to spend an hour a day loving something. Make it a habit. The more you do something, the more capable you become of doing it. If you visualize successful activities in your mind regularly every day, you will begin to perform more successfully. Your imagination is the most powerful force that you possess as living creatures and consciousness in your world. Use it correctly. It is as simple as daily spending a few moments to get in touch with your emotions, reviewing where you think you are at, giving yourself a few constructive, positive suggestions, and thinking of beautiful things that have happened to you in the past. In your mind, you may believe these events occurred in your past. They did not. I will not go into a discussion of the way reality actually works. It is opposed to the way that you believe it works at this time. Give thanks for what you have, for the good and the bad, and maintain an attitude of thanks, a meditative attitude of prayer, or what the Eastern mystics call meditation. And you will find, if you do this religiously, you feel better about yourself and your world, and the world will begin to treat you better. Instead of waiting for good things to happen to you in your life, imagine good things happening within you, and good things will happen to you in your life. Suddenly, you will get that promotion. Or, more fortunately, you may be fired from your job and get a better one. But the universe will see to it that you are where you belong, in accordance always with your self-esteem, your self-attunement, and your natural state of grace. To change the energy frequencies and their chaotic activity in your neurological system, in your energy field around you, which is a magnet that attracts people and events to you, you use and deploy your imagination, the most powerful God-gifted force that you possess as an individual, and you discipline it through use. You do not try to control it rigidly. Once a day, you sit down and you visualize the beautiful things. You meditate on the beautiful objects around you. Perhaps you build yourself a meditation room. You meditate in your jacuzzi, in the back seat of your car, if your apartment is too small, filled with children and noisy. But you make a special effort every day to sit and think for things that really impressed you, that you enjoyed in your life. And they will begin to happen to you again. Do not put a time limit on this exercise. This exercise allows you to contact areas of the mind and brain that exist far beyond the greedy little hands of time. You are an eternal being, and you have all eternity to improve yourself. But why wait? The universe does not owe you anything, except what you demand from it. To get what you desire from the universe, you must ask specifically. And you do that by seeing it and feeling it in your mind and creating imaginary examples of those things that you desire in your life. And always ask for wisdom. With that, my friends, we are going to terminate this communication. Peace, prosperity, and eternal, expanding happiness is yours when you reach for it.
Mystic Broadcast Network. Tune in to the Mystic Broadcast of oneness emanating from every point in the universe.